Hello, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays and all that stuff. I'm Dr. Terry James Gingrass. This is Dr. G's ADHD Chat, the show trying to make the world safe for ADHD. And today, well, it's the day before Christmas, actually. But I'm dictating this and it'll be out tomorrow, hopefully. But this is a time of year, and I've been doing a lot more stuff on holidays, coping, and all that sort of thing than I have in the past. But this is a time of year when there's a lot of reflection. There's a lot of thinking about life and birth and death and all those other things. And we have a tendency at this time of year to think more about our lives and how they're going and what's going well and what's not going so well, and people we're going to miss this year because they died sometime during the year, or people who've died long time before. It's one of those sensitive times of year, and frankly, it's a time of year when a lot of people have a lot of emotional difficulties getting through the year or through the rest of the year. The holidays, they take a lot out of you. There's a lot to do, a lot of things to take care of, a lot of stress, a lot of da 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 da. And then when you have some moments for reflection, you're thinking about, oh, gee, too bad dad can't be here this year, or too bad my brother can't be here, you know, and other reflections like that. It's a time of remembering, and looking at the year. I mean, there are people who make a lot of money with helping us look at the year and evaluating how we did and, all that sort of thing. And it depending, I suppose, if you made $1 million, or, well, $1 million, that shows how old I am. $1 billion this year, then you're going to feel like you did a pretty good job with life. But most of us aren't going to do that. Some of us have thought about it enough that we maybe don't even want to think about doing it. That gets tricky. But you're remembering things, you're evaluating things. How am I doing? Did I do a good job? Am I a good enough parent? Am I a good enough executive? Am I a good enough mother? It's all those things. Hey, that are, what do you want to say? All those things that are important to us, and we do it all the time. That we have a big critical part of ourselves that we're always dealing with, and so this is its time of year. This is its season, and this is where, like I already said, the losses, you feel it more, and memorying. You are dealing with memories from your life, and the strongest ones are always the negative ones. The joy ones, the happy ones, are good to have, and good to encourage, but they're not as powerful as, you do this, you'll die, kind of thing. And that's part, I suppose, of survival back in the day when survival was more important than how much money you made. So it's a time of reflection, and I'm not sure people expect that, and people, when we're doing that, we're doing it sort of just because there's a lot of social emphasis on looking at some of those things, and it's a big deal time of year. Uh, Even if you're not a Christian, it's a big time of year because almost every religion has something big that happens around the winter solstice, and that's it's not a very structured thing in a lot of for a lot of people, but it's a time that no matter what you do, you're going to be reminded that you need to be thinking about some big things. Like, why am I here? I mean, that's the biggest one. What is this? Why did I happened to hear, why do I have ADHD? Why does my kid have ADHD? Why is there ADHD at all? What's the point? I mean, and the deal is, I mean, and it's not all that complicated, but the deal is that your ADHD used to be a way of thinking, a type of mind that was helpful. It helped survival. You know, quick responses, damn the consequences kind of, you know, what was that? Did you hear that? Did you see that? Did you see that? The leaves moved over there. Is there something big and dangerous in there? Uh, you know, that's an ADHD mind. And the longer I've worked in the business, the more I have come to grips with that whole hunter mind, farmer mind, and it's obviously a symbolic kind of thing, but it's a heck of a good metaphor for the differences in the two ways of thinking. Unfortunately, the school systems, which our kids all have to go through, and we had to go through and survive, or were designed for farmer minds. Those minds that don't get impatient very easily, that just kind of steady and do what they're supposed to when they're supposed to do it. Of course, the whole farmer thing is a bit of a stretch. My grandfather was a farmer, and he was not a passive sort of fellow. But we have a lot of thoughts about that. Typically, I mean, it's natural. But the deal is the thing the saving grace, I guess, is that virtually, and we can't control the kind of brain we got. We can't control the kind of body we got. Well, we can control what kind of shape we let it be in, but we're going to be a certain height. We're going to have a tendency to a certain weight. We're going to have a certain amount of different muscle fibers that'll make it easier or harder for us to be endurance athletes, and easier or harder to be athletes who do the quick response kind of sports like basketball and football and all those things. Uh, that is kind of the genetic load that gives us that. But everything else is a skill, is something we've learned. I mean, as a parent, you encouraged your kid to be right-handed. You encouraged your kid to walk, of course. Uh, you encourage certain behaviors, and you discourage certain other behaviors. Toilet training, no pooping on the floor, no pooping in your diaper, no going outside on the porch and peeing into the wind, all those sorts of things. There are a lot of rules and things we learned, but we also learned some things about what kind of people we are, and what our parents and other people experienced from us. And if we had ADHD, we got a lot of critical comments. I mean, I always managed to slip that in, but an ADHD kid on average gets 70 critical comments every single day. Uh, and that's teaching him or her what? It's going to teach them a lot of things that perhaps they they don't know what to do with that. You can say, "Oh, I'm a worthless person," if you're into that, and most of us are. We're always trying to think: Are we good people? Are we bad people? Do we deserve to be here? Do we have anything to contribute? Do people like us? Do people not like us? All those questions. And if you're an ADHD kid, you know, it's easy to misinterpret the feedback you're getting. It's not generally all that positive. I mean, there are some people who will like you for your energy and your enthusiasm and your creativity and that sort of thing. And there are other people who can't be bothered. You're just too much. You take too much energy for me to hang out with you. I'm sorry. And that's, uh, well, the good news about everything being learned is that if you learn everything and you get some bad learning, you can unlearn it and learn the new way of doing things. Like, I mean, most of us think emotions just kind of happen, but no, emotions are trained into us. We're I have a notion of, or keep calling it a favorite bad emotion. You know, a favorite bad emotion didn't just happen to you. You picked it. You figured out that this was the way people are supposed to respond. Okay, you're from my generation. Guys are only supposed to respond with anger, frustration, that sort of thing, and that was tolerated. And encouraged. But it wasn't like it was we were naturally angry people. We just uh, were, guys don't cry. Shake it off, get back in there, don't let them see you cry. That whole thing. But that tells us that we have some control over that. Oh, control over emotions. Like, I'll tell you what, I wasn't planning on doing this, but just as an experiment, when you wake up the next, say, 5 or 6 days, think about how you're feeling, and then think about 5 things that you're happy about, good things, and they don't have to be that you're winning an award or something, but something like, oh, man, I cleaned that floor. It was so messy, and I cleaned it all up. I, you know, just look for positive things and see what effect that has on the way you feel. 'Cause, sometimes you get up in the morning and it's like, oh God, why? But if you make it your business to kind of think about the positive things in your life, and little ones or big ones, it doesn't matter. If you recently won a Pulitzer Prize, go hang with that for a while. But for most of us, that's not what it's going to be. It's like, man, I really like this new toothbrush I got, or boy, dinner was great last night. I don't know what that recipe was, but we're not going to lose that one. Or, gee, this is a great ginger snap. I didn't know you could make ginger snaps without flour, but this celiac if you haven't had that experience. Uh, it's the control we have that we really don't know we have. Uh, if you think positive, it will change your mood. You get up in the morning and think, "Oh, God, I'm old, I'm tired, I'm sore, I don't like this, I got too much work to do, I don't even like what I'm doing." You'll be on a downer, and maybe you'll get out of it sometime during the day, and maybe you won't. But if you accept the idea that you can control it, and that the way you're thinking passively about it, about your life, is putting you on a downward spiral, then if you take some active action and change the way you're thinking about your life, the way you're thinking about things, when you're actually looking for positives in your life, um, your mood changes. Your mood gets better. You get lifted. Okay, it's as you think about it, you think about the little internal dialogue you have in your head. I guess it's not a dialogue; it's a monologue. You with yourself telling you, like, if you mess up, if you drop a plate, if you spill your coffee, uh, whatever, think of the little thing and sometimes people say it out loud. Oh, you dumb. We say things to ourselves that we would never say to other people. Okay, we are criticizing ourselves incredibly hard, and it's not true. It's just that we can get away with it in our heads, but it has an effect on us. And if we do it all the time, it will have a more powerful effect, and will stay down for a long time. And I know that sounds simplistic. Oh my God, I've been taking antidepressants for years. Well, it gets tougher, and pretty soon it becomes such a habit that you kind of think this is normal for you, and it's really, really not. So, if you're a parent with an ADHD child, or you have ADHD yourself, or you're an ADHD parent and you have an ADHD child, well, there's a lot you can do that's, to yourself that's nasty and bad and negative, but you have, well, I'll accept it. Okay, I'm getting messages here. The deal is ADHD is what you were given to play with. How you do that is up to you. There are no absolute rules, no absolute laws. Even, we have all these treatment recommendations, but they don't work for everybody. Some work for some people with ADHD, some work for other people with ADHD. You have to find what works for you, your particular way your mind works. If you're a visual person, that's one thing. If you're a more language-oriented person, that's another thing. If you're one of these tactile learners and you have to actually get your hands on it before you can do anything with it, that's another thing. So your mind, your mood set, all that stuff, your mindset, your mood, maybe that would be better. Your mindset, your mood, those are things that you can learn to control. It isn't instant, typically, but if you just start with that simple exercise, just find 5 things first thing in the morning that you remember from yesterday. And it's helpful to write it down, but you don't absolutely have to. I mean, it's just as if you start thinking about more positive things, it elevates your mood. If you are thinking and questioning all the negative stuff and bad things are going to happen and I screwed up and I'm such a mess and I don't know why I was even born. I mean, you have gifts. We all do. Your job is to figure out what they are and to make the best use you can of them for yourself and hopefully to help other folks. We are all connected. Okay. All these billionaires running around thinking that they can win by getting more and more and more when they've already got more than they can ever use for their lives. Well, there's a problem with that, in that we're all connected, okay? And if you dump on a whole group of people, a large group of people all the time, eventually you pay for it somehow. You maybe can go from your gated community golf course to your gated community house, and stay behind the walls all the time. I think that's a pretty good life, but why not make the world better? Why not think in terms of how the world could be if we all just kind of hung together instead of always looking for the differences in each other? And that's one thing that will help us. That's maybe the only thing that will help us all get along better. Most of us want to be good to other people. Most of us want good things for everybody, and that can happen. But we've got to think the way we need to think to make that happen. And if you don't come away from this with anything else, it's you control your emotions, the way you think about things. You can change the way you think about things, and that will change your emotions. And nobody's evaluating your whole life except you. So be nice to yourself. Be nice to yourself. If you're doing the best you can, you know that. If you're not doing the best you can, you know that too. And you're in complete control over whether you change that or not. Okay. I feel like the sermon is over. But do be good to yourself out there, and do be patient with yourself, and do figure out that you can control a lot of things. You can change your mind about things. You can change your emotions about things. It doesn't happen instantly just because you make a big declaration. It happens because you keep doing the same work over and over. Okay. I'm still Dr. Terry James Gingrass, and this is Dr. G's ADHD Chat. And remember, we're trying to make the world safe for ADHD. And eventually we will have an education system that takes into account all of us and all of our individual differences, and life will be better. Okay, you all have a happy holiday, and I will catch you next, it'll still be next month. Okay.